Right, kicking off part 9 in our Quick Sigma makeover. You'll notice where the headlight adjusters were. There's yellow around there. Dodgy, very, very dodgy, akin to the same sort of work here. We don't want that. We want it to look good. So we're going to take that vertical bar out. I might try and source another one because that one is pretty crap. And this looks a bit bent, although that one does too. Maybe they're just molded like that, I don't know. Or pressed like that. These things here, whoops, keep going high. Now, we don't paint over clips. The others were painted over and painted around, that's bad. But we have the problem of these things being very, very brittle. So, in order to do this properly, I think we're going to have to exercise a few precautions. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right, but there are 2 of these per light, ergo 8 on the car. I'm going to put a bit of tape on here right up to the plastic, and this is D, right? So the 8 on the car, hang on a second, I'll write it. 1, 2, 3, 4, starting at the driver's side for the top ones, A, B, C, D for the low ones. That way, I don't know how well the headlights are adjusted on this, but that way I can put them back the way I found them, and I don't have to paint over them. Anyone will tell you, whoa, pardon me, that plastic does get brittle. And one of these was damaged before. I didn't damage it, but I got the other 6 out very well. I might go back to that red car, see if I can dig one out of that red car. But I want to get them out like that. And of course then we can stick them in the bag with the rest of the stuff we've got, and I know exactly which part that came from. Right, rust converters. Don't believe what people tell you about them. Their main ingredient is phosphoric acid. You shouldn't use it around paint. And what it does is it doesn't miraculously fix rust. All it does is provide a chemical reaction between the rust and the acid itself and gives paint something to stick to. So I'm putting a bit of phosphoric acid on here, but I physically removed all of the scale. You can't just brush this on rust and the car's got no rust in it. It doesn't work like that. You use it just when you've got rid of every last bit of it and there's just a little bit of pitting left or a stain left. That's when this stuff's really good. But it's not a miraculous cure for rust. The only way to really get rid of rust is to cut it out and weld in fresh metal. Now, wedge primers themselves have phosphoric acid as well as dioxidine. That's full of it. And your general rust converters. But rust converters only go a very, very, very shallow amount into the rust, which is why you need to make sure you get absolutely everything physically off with the Y wheel or alternative. So I'm just going around, just brushing this on very liberally. I'll give that 20 minutes to sit and then I'll wipe it off and then it will dry hard and then we can etch over those areas. I've still got to rub back a lot of this stuff. I'm just going over the parts, particularly around the battery carrier where there was surface rust, which I've gotten rid of. So, good stuff, phosphoric acid. People even use it in fuel tanks as well. I've never done that, I've just seen it. Cool. Oh, good. Excellent. Right, so phosphoric acid is fairly nasty stuff. I'm just wiping a bit of the excess off now. You'll see black dots. That's where there was some surface rust. Now, the problem with these cars, as well as pretty much all old cars, particularly around the screens, is that when you replace a screen and you go to clean all the old sealer off, it's going to scratch the metal, and of course putting a new screen in means that there's going to be unprotected steel underneath the glass where water can't escape. It's nice and warm under there and rust is going to take hold. Now that's a big problem in old cars like this. But probably the last 30 odd years, car manufacturers have galvanised their bodies, whereas these ones aren't. So it is the reason that rust is a problem with them. So I think what we'll do is we'll let that go off. I did see somewhere else I need to wipe off. And by tomorrow, of course, that will be nice and hard and dry. And we'll etch everything. I've got to start rubbing the blue back and tape a line under the tunnel. Where's the tunnel? So I don't want, the car's dirty underneath. There's nothing worse than seeing a car, and I saw a very nice looking XY GT restoration. It was a what do you call it? Tribute car, if you like, replica. And from the top it looked wonderful, and underneath you could see overspray on the dirty underside, and that is yuck. I don't want that. On the Fords and on this one too, I will tape a line at the base of the tunnel, up and around and across. So underneath you'll see a defined line, but I mean someone at least had the foresight to make some sort of effort to keep it tidy. And it's the same sort of thing as these little headlight adjuster clips and that sort of stuff. It's the difference between, you know, something that looks like it's been sort of shonkily slapped together and something that looks like someone's put some effort into it. Even though I am a backyard handyman, essentially, I want it to look like a professional did it. Thinking ahead to our roof console and headlining, headliner. I'm just taking off this mastic crap because I want it to be nice and clean so that when I start working on it, hey, come back, it's all good. So I'm just going in and just using it to pull itself off, rolling off my hand so it doesn't stick to me. Ghastly stuff really, but at the end of the day, a couple of bits on the edges and we've pretty much got it licked. I've just got to do the back one. Anyway, that's basically how it is. I'm back at the wreckers, and these are wheel nuts. These look like, hang on, can't get it out of the ground. They're all pretty much the same. They're Signals use these as well. That's not a bad wheel nut. Give it a clean up. Oh, all grounded wheel nuts. That's cool. That's in good nick. Last time I never told you what I got. I got this radiator support panel piece and also these little trees for the HT leads. So I was quite happy with that. Battery tray would be great. But I've got no way of getting it out. That's so much better than what I've got. What a shame it's not bolted. Got to take a quick sticky at how these stickers go. The tune-up one's there. Data completion, blah blah blah. That one's there, and that one's there. Cool. Alright. Let's have a look inside here. Right, I was thinking about that centre dash piece because I think it was Harvey said, why didn't you get one of the wreckers? But this one's no better. Oops, it's cracked up there and over there. I think I'll leave that. It's pretty funky, the aircon, but I don't want that either. I might grab that bit though. That's better than mine. Petrol's a thing of the past. Look at this great big bolt. It's got a hook. It's got a hook in the parcel tray. Why on earth would you need that? Open this. What's that for? Maybe some dodgy child restraint. I think I've got everything I need. I've taken the centre dash bit, the side dash bit, sorry. Oh, hang on my list. There, got that. And the upright. Another lead retainer. I'll go and pick up some more of those nuts, I think. They're all over the ground. Look, there's one. And they're sort of trampled in. Just got to make sure they're the right thread. There's one under there. One thing that always looks terrific is nobody, well, it's lit a cigarette or two, but if it's all clean. Is it clean? That's not too bad. Oh, it's broken at the edge, but I can use the different cover. I might grab the cigarette lighter and the ashtray too. They seem to be better nick than mine. What else do I need? Grab some of these knobs. They're in pretty good nick. This would have been a nice car. That's in good nick. What else we got? Might as well, eh? As long as you're honest with this stuff and you take it up to the front. I'm going to go on the other side and have a look there. The other thing I wouldn't mind is the engine. A good spare so we can re-ring it and stick pistons in, that sort of thing for a turbocharger. And I was just going to blow straight into that manifold. I think they're pretty cheap. Bounce shroud, do you think? Probably not a bad idea. I wonder if I can get it out. I haven't bought many tools with me. I think they're only on aircon cars. Let's have a look. Right, well I think it might be time to throw a little ciggy in the booth. I'm going to belt the camera. A couple of items to clear. We've got an air cleaner hanging up there. We've got a motorcycle fuel tank over there. If you're interested in that, there's a full restoration series on the CB350. Once the tank's back on, the bike's pretty well finished, but I haven't started on the engine yet. So that will get a full engine restoration as well, complete rebuild. Got an air cleaner lid, I've got a little wiper motor shell sitting there on an aerosol cap. And we have a ciggy. So what we're going to do over here, I'll move that cover off the lid. We're going to clear all in the jambs and around the windows on the front and back, and that's going to give it a long time to go off properly. The XC is going to be getting its glass this week, hopefully, and when the guy comes I'll get a quote for doing this as well, because I want the glass in. The moment we can put the glass in, all the interior can get put back together. It's really, really good. So that's where we're at now. Dear oh dear oh dear. So what have we got here? We got an air cleaner. It's going to get a reflection. Whoa, look at that. We got the air cleaner lid. We got a bike tank with the obligatory crap in the paint, which happens when you're painting in an environment such as this one. Sigma again. You know, I've decided not to repair this scuttle. You know what? Over the other side, I can't be bothered. I'm going to be repainting it anyhow. What I was fussy about was in these areas here. I wanted them all, and look, I've cleaned up to where there was some windscreen sealer. So I've done this in a hurry because it's going to rain today and I need this thing to tuck off. Same thing around the other side. There's the thing there. That's not particularly tidy repair, but it is solid, so it's all good. And it's all new metal and all this sort of business. So up in that jam, that fluff hanging down there is just for from the cover. So that's all done. I've done the wheel and I unraveled part of it because I missed with the gun, and a big of clear went there and I didn't want it soaking through and then setting on the wheel. I've got a run in that. Can you see that run down there? That's a pain in the neck. I've got another run on that side. I was overzealous with it, but it doesn't matter. We can rub that out and just hand polish it. It's all good. The wiper motor's probably got runs in it too. I wasn't even watching what I was doing. Is that alright? That doesn't look too bad, does it? So we'll rebuild the wiper motor. There are restoration videos on YouTube. Guy restores a freaking toolbox and he's got 3 million views, and all he does is rattle can it, so I'm going to do a wiper motor. Not that anyone really cares. So once this goes off, this is the deal. We've got the XC screen coming, as we said, and then we can put this screen in. I want both of the windows in this. Once the front and rear glass are on, we're a lot happier, and it means we can rebuild, as we said. I've cleaned more in here, but I haven't done any to work. I've just used phosphoric acid, and everything's black, except that bit which I've missed, which is pretty dumb. So I'm going to etch and do bits and pieces on that, just to protect it. So I think that's next, and after that we can start doing the prep and priming it. Then we got to bring it back in here to do the actual painting and clearing. Alright, starting to put a few things back in the old Cigo. So we've got a little boot switch. The light, on the other hand, pop rivets in from underneath. We've got the wiring loom going. But me just repaired very poorly, I might add. Some of the looms where they've been cut. We've got our rear mist, and Mitsubishi have stuck these little guys in, which are great for the courtesy lights which pop up into that hole there. So I'll run a snare down there and grab them. So there's going to be, whoops, a bit of stout yellow wire, which I've already used. Boot the fuel sender. Got a lot of crap in. This was tricky. It's got a torsion bar underneath it, so we've got both of them sticking up now, which means I can chuck the boot lid on. That's not going to affect the screen fitter. I spoke to a guy today about the screen. He said, how much rust? I said, none. He goes, no, it's a Sigma, how much rust? We had a bit of a laugh about it, and I said, no, look, I've cut it all out and put new metal in and got a 2-pack clear on it, so it's all going to be good. So he was pretty happy with that. Rear mister there. I've had to thread this down. That has a joining wire, this one here, that plugs in. I didn't know, and I actually unscrewed it from there, so I've got to find the screw for it. I've lost it. So I've got this piece of board up here with a sheet underneath it, or a doona cover underneath it, just to keep the cover off any of the 2-packy type finishes, just so it dries properly, and it is dried properly now, so I can probably do away with that. Of course, on this side we've got that wire as well. That's a big help. I think we'll just pop the boot lid on. Taillights. This is a really good time to get rid of some of those grey nasty bulbs and put some brand new ones in. Also, there was a high mount on this, which I'd kind of like to put back, but I'm not going to. I feel like I'm running the gauntlet not doing that. I want to get rid of some of this dodgy wiring. There's some on each lamp. There's one on that one too. And so this is a good time to pop the lights back and to give them a clean and also a bit of a buff. You know, we run over some of the scratches with 2000, just hit it with a buff, and they come up great. So we can stick them on too, because when we do the dark blue, it's going to be, what do you call it, masked off. Oops, have I lost my focus? Anyway, that's what we're up to at the moment. The other thing, the wiper motor parts are here. Now let me show you something. The 350 tank, that looks rather nice. I'm going to flow coat that. I'm going to wet sand it. It's a bit peely. And do what I did on the side cover. I don't know if you can see. Side cover's absolutely beautiful. But the tank, I am going to flow coat. So that'll be just as shiny or shinier. Alright, this little wiper motor. Excuse the mess. I've cleaned all this up. Inside it. Looks reasonably spiffy. And we've got the rotor, or the armature, and idiot brain here has lost the bloody shims that go on the both ends of that motor. So I can't put it back together. I don't know what to do with that. I've got to find them. Yep. We've got a boot light. Now there's a boot lid. And we're just going to tighten them up where we can see where they were. I've only just put this back where I can see the marks on the paint. I haven't lined it up. You can see how rough the boot lid looks. I'm just going to move that striker over. That'll be fine, but that lined up straight away. That'll do. That'll buff out well. Well, the gap's a bit big there. Fairly equal, but it just seems to be sitting flatter there. Maybe I can push that over a bit. I don't think it's worth mucking around with at the moment. I think the main thing is that it works. I wish I could find those shims. I'm an idiot, I've lost them. What have we got? We have, that's the indicator. And someone's chopped into this. Did they just come out? I don't know if they just come out or not. I'm just going to cut them off. And just re-isolate that, I suppose. I think that's alright like that, to be quite frank. We've got two stop tails, both of which are well used. So I'll just put a whole complement of new globes in. I think that's probably the easiest and the best way. I've just got my finger in the hole, in the light hole, just so I don't let go of it. You don't need to go bat crap crazy over this. We're just cleaning it up. So it's going to stand out because the boot lid's so crappy in terms of paint quality, but we can sort of buff out what's there. But that's taken, I'm going to say 3 or 4 minutes. And you can see the result is, oh gosh, you can see the result's beautiful. That's my thumb, my greasy thumbprint, but look at that. That's better than new. That's a complete lie. That's as good as new. Isn't that gorgeous? I had a complement of 8 brand new bulbs. We got our double ones. double one. That's another double one. It just plugs in. This is a pretty nifty arrangement, this. So we can just put this on. Oh, I think that turned out alright. And look, this is all going to be buffed. You can see that line there. Once that hardens off, I'll just feather that line and buff the whole thing. And it's going to be fine. Until we get around to repainting it, it's all good. Wiper motor rebuild. Well, kind of. We're just sort of putting it back together. The first thing is, here's the rotor armature. I've gone over this with medium and fine Scotch Brite, just to clean up the commutator a bit. I want to make sure there's no crap in there and it's all good. We have plated parts. We've got a housing with the paint job on it, the gasket, some springs for the brushes, some rubber bits, a gasket, some tools, all that sort of stuff. Anyhow, not worried about that. The first thing I'm worried about are these brushes. So we're going to take them out, and the springs that go behind them. Now that, this thing here, let me get this out. Come in there, sucker. This bush in there is sintered bronze, so we oil it, and it is a ball joint type arrangement. So when we put this thing in, I'm just going to drop that into place there. It sits on a guide, and that's the sort of preload. And so that has to go in there like that to keep it true. It can only sort of go and it'll sit in one way. Now these are a pain in the neck. It's difficult to fathom how much of a pain these are. There are springs, 3 of them, that sit in those little rebates. Brushes sit on top, compress the springs. Now on some of them, they have a little hole in the base where you can put a needle or a small bit of wire, and that will keep it in. These ones, no such luck, mate. So this is going to be fiddly, and I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to get all these in, I'm going to park them, and I'm going to stick that rotor in. Before I do though, there are these washers. A series of wave or thrust washers. One's a wave washer, there's a wave washer. And 2 thrust washers. But these can be horrendous. What we're doing is we're just putting the spring in. I'm going to try and keep this still. So you can see, you can use a fine screwdriver or something to that effect. Maybe something finer than that. Hang on a second. Let me just open this. I did the others with my fingers, but I'm trying to keep it so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to push that down into that little hole. I'm going to get the brush on the top corner is where we need the brush to be, or the wire to be, I should say. I'm going to push that in all the way home. I'm going to use an alligator clip, like I have on the other two, to hold that back. We don't want to break these or we're screwed. Like that. Now, what we've got is a rotor and a thrust washer and a bit of oil. Hang on, I'm just going to get this thing primed. Come on, you son of a gun. Bit of oil on there. I'm going to stick a bit of oil on that bush. And maybe even, is that kosher? Yes, it doesn't look too bad. Let's stick this in. Oh, we got it. Who is the hero here? It's me. Alright. Now, a couple of things here. We can release these. Now, there's a problem with this, and I'll tell you what it is. That's all sitting beautifully. That's going to work nice. Or nicely, bad English. Right. The only problem is when we put this on, there are 2 permanent magnets inside. It's going to pull like a herd of elephants that way, and the brushes are going to pop out. So we need to find a way to hold that from coming back. So, can I hold it with my fingers? Maybe? Do you think? Hold it with my fingers? Alright. Yeah, I've got cardboard here, so we're good. I'm going to come back. Got oil over my wiper motor now. Going to put a little bit in the back there, and there's a ball there that runs on. Let's pray like crazy. Yes, we got it. Where's my rag? Oh, my rag's here. Dials. This is only going to go one way, and there'll be a rebate for it, but I'm not letting go of that shaft until I get them busted in. Oh, right, look at that. That'll stay there now. And we can wipe this off. Oh, yes. I feel like a complete person now. The screw holes, one here, which is going to kind of marry up with that, but it doesn't look like it will for now. Yes, it will, I think. Let's try and whack one in. Let's fail. Oh yes, look at that. Cool, bananas. All right. In preparation for fitting this is dirty. I've tried to clean it. It doesn't clean that well, but the thing that I don't like about it's got blue overspray on it. Best thing to do with that, rattle can, bit of satin black, and it'll come out looking like new. The wiper motor sits like that inside the car on that plate, so we can stick that on with these. I didn't bother plating these are pretty daggy, but it doesn't matter that much. I don't think it matters at all, come to think of it. It'll just mean that I've got somewhere solid to mount the thing, or to sit the thing while I'm working on it on the bench. Can you even see what I'm doing? There we go. So it sits on that plate like that. No, it sits like that. Rightio, we've got these context switches. Now, these run on these tracks, and we can work out what they do with the multimeter, but I don't even care. I'm just going to throw it in. And what that'll do is it means that when we plug it and power it, it's going to park itself, yeah? And then we'll put that bit on there. So, I'm just going to put some grease around here. Lithium grease would be the best thing for this, I would think. And we don't have any, so we're going to use this stuff. Whatever you get needs to be sort of, what do you call it? Impervious to heat. So I'm just going to run it through that. I've cleaned this up sort of mostly. We don't have to have it dripping in grease, just a little bit in the gears, so the first time it starts running, everything's well lubricated. Now we'll just drop him in, and that'll mesh. We can stick the cover on. And there's a gasket, which goes like... it goes a bit like that. And we got the cover, which goes like that. Oh, spiffy. Look at that. And we just bang some screws in, and I think that should we'll call it quits for there. So there we go. Little wiper motor. It sits like that. It's all nicely prepped and painted and all that sort of stuff. Here's a gasket. Just gave it a little lick over with some satin black, so when we put it back in, that will go that way. It's like doing an IQ test. And from the edge, it's lovely and black, it's not blue. And that concludes it. There it is there. I hope you like it. We'll just give that a little bit of a hit with some more brake clean in there. It's still a bit grotty, but the rest of it came up very, very well. So I hope you enjoyed that. Headlining. We're going to have to chuck this bugger back in for a bit, because I need to do some measurements. Right, we've got a little roofie console here, and I've cut the plug off and I've marked where the clips are. It might make it easier to sort of mount later. I've got the headlining sitting up on a couple of clips. I can see the center of it. I get one crack at this, and if I mess it up, I'm buggered. So what I'm going to do, there's a thing on the back of the rear vision mirror, a little wedge-shaped shape, and that actually sits snugly into where the roof console is. So that seems like it there. I just want to make sure that I get this right, because if I don't, I'm knackered. Is that in there? Yes, it is. Right, so I know that's centered now, and if I look down it, it's all pretty good. So I'm just going to pop a bit of tape there along the headlining, and that way I can see exactly where the edge of the thing is. So, what do we got? That is pretty much dead on there. And I'll just get underneath it just to make sure. As long as I can see where it starts and finishes, then I'm much better off. Okay, you can see it all sort of fitted there. There is one problem in the center though, where I've sort of pushed this down too far and we've got a pucker. Having said that, it's got the steel frame behind and it is sitting snugly against the headlining, so we can pop that out. Might be easier doing it from behind. Where are the clips? There's one. Now what we're going to do, I've just taped these together to keep everything nice and neat. Wiring diagram out of the manual, my manual falling apart. These are great because they're sort of divided up into each section of the car, and each page has its own legend. They're very, very easy to follow. Now what we're going to do, we've got these connectors, and so we need to put a block connector in, which is just comprised of this guy. It's just 4 pins. One, of course, will go into the vehicle, which will also include these two from the timer for the light, which is this guy here, and the other one just goes to earth. So the original interior light is earthed through a screw into the body. This thing sort of floats, so it's got its own independent earth there. So we've got to wire that in as well. Yeah, kind of neat-ish, particularly around there. It got a bit messy up here, but it didn't matter that much because I knew it was all covered and it was all going to be alright. I've just got to just do this bit here, and you can see I might just release that a bit and cut that back a bit further. Just the what's that stuff called? The vinyl. This was very, very easy to cut. It's just a sort of a pressed fibre board, and it cuts with a razor blade very, very cleanly. And you can just see it's just got a bit of foam there with some vinyl on top, so it's really, really easy stuff to do. After that, we need to clean it once we've got everything sorted, and then we can pop them in the car. Okay, so I've shown lots of soldering and all that sort of crap in these videos before, but not worth it. This is the timer. I've got a block connector, everything's there. We've got 4 pins occupied that'll just go in. The other 2 here just need to get wired into the switched earth for the doors and the power feed. So these go off to the timer, that just goes off to the globe. This is the earth for the whole cluster, which I'll cut, because that timer needs to be earthed as well, and stick a spade on it or something, or a loop terminal, and just screw it to the body somewhere. So we'll go to the car now and we'll wire these 2 in, tape that up, and then we're ready to go further with the headlining. Right, there's our little loom. We're running out of daylight. It's a little plug loom thing, and it goes down the A-pillar, which is where it's meant to go. Time to put the headlining in, but the only problem is I'm running out of daylight, so I might not be able to see too much. Interestingly, that cutout for the, it's obviously a standard insulation panel. You can see how far over it is here. You can also see the dents in the roof there that have been poorly filled on the outside. But it's right up against that side member there, so it's not been put in centrally. Right, so that gives you an idea of what that brace looks like installed. There is one thing worrying me though, and there's a bracket hanging down from the roof, which I hope doesn't foul with the thing, with the what do you call it? The light fitting itself. It's got to put these clips in here. The long ones go at the end. So I'm going to put this up and hope that it's going to stay there. That thing isn't going to get in the way, because I'm a bit concerned about it. Right, here we go. And I'm talking about here. I've lost my loom. Here we are. That's the loom. That's the original earth point for the interior light that was there before. And because this is plastic and clipped up to a headliner, there's no available earth for it. Now, it might tuck in there. It might be alright. So we'll plug him in, provided we don't drop it. And that should hopefully fit. Not bad. I think that's going to be alright. I don't know, I can't see from where you are. But at least if I know that, I can put the rest of the, because it's just clicked in a couple of places, and so I can continue to install the headlining. But I reckon that might be alright. So I'll stick these in, that holds it right up. And right, so we will have to just loosen these side trims a little bit. I've got to clean up in the jam anyhow, but just up in here, just so we can get that A-pillar thing in. But there you go. The lighting's awful, and I've got to give it another wipe down. But you can probably see the headlining's damp in a couple of areas. I've got to let it dry out. We haven't put the sun visors in, and the A-pillar molds. They're next. They need to go in, and then the front screen can go in. You can still see a pucker at the side. I can't really avoid that. And I don't really care either. I think it looks fine. That's all good. The wiring's roughed in down here for the timer. I think in the next one we really will steam ahead with the engine bay. I've just stuck all this in it. That's a beautiful straight repair. I'm very happy with it. You can see I've left a little hole in the spot weld there, but in the plug weld, that doesn't matter. I'm half tempted just to metal finish that, just grind it off and just paint it without even using filler. I reckon I could do that. It's pretty straight. So I got to do that. I haven't started with that yet. And Rare Spares have contacted me to let me know that they've got these rust repair sections, so we can weld up those sills, get these done, and we're well on the way to our quick rebuild. One thing I'm not too wrapped about, and this steering box was sort of covered with deadener type material. They must have fitted it before they put the deadener onto the wheel arch. Down there near the pitman arm over there, it looks like it's absolutely been clobbered. Now this steering box feels rubbish to use. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I actually don't want to put it back in, but I do have a plan for it. So I'll get into that next video. Anyway, look, hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.